Hi, my name is Mr. Terranova from Westview Elementary. Without light energy, you can't see. But turn on the lights and voila! Today we are going to talk about how increasing or decreasing different kinds of energy can affect our daily lives. Light and sound are forms of energy, and so is thermal energy, the energy that keeps us warm. How many times do you use light, heat, or sound throughout the day? Probably more than you can count. Learning how increasing or decreasing the amount of energy of an object will help us understand how energy works. Earlier, we saw what happens when there is no light at all. We couldn't see anything around us. When we turned on the light, everything became clear. But what if we turned on the lights just a little bit? Can you still see what is around me? Can you read this sign? Can you tell what color my clothes are? How about if I turn it up a little bit more? Does that make a difference? Now, all the way. What did you notice about the effect of increasing the light energy? The greater the amount of light energy, the better detail we are able to see. Now, what about this stick of butter? Another type of energy is thermal energy, also called heat. What do you think would happen if we applied heat energy to the butter? Let's try it. I'm going to apply thermal energy from this fancy hairdryer to the butter. Watch what happens to the butter when the heat is applied. Is the butter changing properties? Yes, it's changing from a solid into a liquid. What is the energy called that is causing this change? That's right, thermal energy or heat. How do you think this process would change if I applied more heat? It would change the speed at which the butter melts. The hotter the plate, the faster the butter will melt. Today we have observed that light and thermal are forms of energy. We saw what happens to objects when light energy is low and high. We observed what happened to an object, butter, when thermal energy is applied. You can experiment with sound energy. With your parents' permission, turn on the radio and set the volume very low, almost off completely. Now walk 10 steps away from the radio. Can you hear the sound coming from the radio? If you can hear the sound, turn the volume down a little, then walk away 10 steps again. Keep doing that until you can't hear the sound 10 steps away. Even when you can't hear the sound from 10 steps away, were you able to hear it when you got right next to the radio? What can you conclude about sound energy from this activity?
Until next time, I'll be seeing you.